Now, if you have only tomatoes in your fridge and you're looking at something simple and quick to make, then the Tian of tomato is really the place to start. It is a very simple dish that does not require any cooking away from having a baking dish and an oven. The ingredients are very simple and that can be made in around, 30 minutes? That's about it. Super simple, but very tasty. Let's have a look. The recipe we will be making now is called the Tian de Tomates and the Tian of tomato. So what does Tian mean? T-I-A-N. In the Provençal language simply refers to this. A kind of an earthenware, a baking dish that is used to bake vegetables. You can have fish, all sorts of things. So when we say a Tian, it means there's basically a bake of something. And here we're going to be using tomatoes, just plain tomatoes. And this is why this is super simple, because there's nothing else needed away from aromatics. So we're going to make here a portion for, just as a demonstration, for 2, but I'm going to give you a recipe for 4. I'm going to use a kilo of tomato, some rosemary, a few cloves of garlic, some parsley, salt and pepper, and olive oil. If you want, you can add breadcrumbs on top, but that's all you need. And as I said, it is great because you don't need to go on the stove or anything like this. All what you need to do is to slice the tomato. How easy is this? For the mise en place of the food preparation, you'll be amazed that there's not much to do. And the first thing, of course, are the tomatoes. There's no need to peel the tomatoes, which is great. And I'm using purposely supermarket tomatoes, so they're a bit firm. This is what you're generally gonna get, okay? The tomatoes can be cut either this way, okay, tuck, 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 like this, or on the side, like that, slices. And this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna actually use it on the side, like this, sideways, to have these long slices. What I usually do, you need to get rid of that hard bit in here and also the front. So very simple. I'm taking my tomato here. I'm going to use that super long knife, which is actually a cake knife, like a special knife. Look at that. I cut a bit here, and that you can leave this for a tomato coulis or anything like this, and all the offcuts for something else. And I'm ending up with this. You see that piece of tomato? And from here, all what I'm doing, you want some thick slices, 20 minutes in the oven. Baking dish, you want these kinds of slices like this. That's the thickness I've got, okay? So you're going to take all your tomatoes and slice them like this. That's all it needs to do. All done. So this is what we should have. See, these are nice thick slices of tomato. So all what's going to happen is we're going to be laying the tomatoes into a dish like this, to a baking dish. And what's important here, of course, is the dressing or the condiment, how we're going to place this. And a lot of time with these types of bake, you're going to put your tomatoes and you're going to put the salt, the pepper, and the other things afterwards. What I like to do is to do that before I'm putting my tomatoes. So for instance, I've got all the tomatoes laid down here, and I'm going to start to season, even just on one side, and you don't need to do 2 sides, but a good grind of salt. Like this, I know that every single tomato has got something, a bit of pepper, okay, a little hint of parsley, and we're going to use 3 tablespoons and plenty of that. So you see, I'm adding the flavors, and I'm going to add, the garlic here mixed with the olive oil. So let me show you what I mean. Now these little bakes are great, but like I said, sometimes even with the garlic that you have to sprinkle on top, it just stays at the top and nothing goes into the tomato and you don't have the flavor. So what I do, I'm using my olive oil in here and I'm adding the garlic into the olive oil that I'm gonna then sprinkle or drizzle, let's say, over the tomatoes before putting the tomatoes. So see, I've got that mixture here of garlic and olive oil. And like this, you don't have clumps and you get a flavored olive oil. This is very handy. Parsley. And all what I'm going to do now is drizzle that garlic and olive oil on each slice. So that at least I'm sure that when you eat something like this, anyone's going to have a slice of garlic and a piece of parsley and some salt and pepper. It's not like you have one tomato that is tasteless and the rest tasty. And now for the assembly. So I told you it was quite easy, and the assembly is as easy as the rest is. I'm using a small baking dish. You're going to start by putting some rosemary at the bottom. I'm using young, the one that's from my garden, but you can buy this in the shop, okay? 2 things at the bottom, and all what you need to do now is to take these slices of tomato that we've got on the side here and lay them down. So you can put them, if you want, you can put them flat, but I kind of prefer, I hate using a pair of tongs. I like to use my hand. I think I'm going to use my hands because it's just better. Okay, so you can actually put them like this and make a kind of a bake like this and put slices after slices after slices like this. And I'm going to move this on the side to show you how it looks like. So you start with a messy outlook. You put all the tomatoes in there. And then you can arrange afterwards by making that kind of nice shape. So you put one in front, one in the back, one in front, one in the back, one in front, one in the back, kind of thing, you see? You see the idea? You see the look you're trying to get there? And it's just a matter of arranging by hand, trying to get something that looks nice, okay? And you don't need to get it, you know, super Michelin star. It is a very casual type of dish. I'm going to find the right angle here. That's how it looks like, okay? This is one way. You can also just put them flat, like a bit like a gratin, like a potato gratin. But this is up to you. You can choose whatever you like. At the end of the day, it's all seasoned, it's all going into the oven, and it's all going to cook in the same way. So when you're done, this is what you've got, an unpretentious little baking dish with tomatoes. But the most important that you need to keep in mind in French cooking, especially with these basic dishes, it's not about the presentation, it is about the taste. So what you've got here, you've made sure that every tomato has got salt, has got pepper, has got a bit of garlic, and there's already some parsley in there. What's left to do now are just the final touches. So I've put all the oil that was in my plate in a little bowl like this with the leftover garlic. So I'm going to add some more on here to make sure it's nice and oily. I'm going to sprinkle some extra rosemary in here. It's just the little leaves, you don't do anything more. We're going to add some parsley, because of course we love parsley in France. It's a standard thing, so in the flavor, in the cavities in there. And what I like to do sometime with these, as an extra, a simple sprinkle of breadcrumbs that may help with the sogginess. It adds a little bit of color. It's always a welcome addition, but this is kind of optional. When you're here, you're going to preheat your oven at 200 degrees Celsius, 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And when it's hot enough, we're going to place that dish and we're going to cook this for a good 20-25 minutes. The good thing with tomatoes is that they don't burn or anything like this. They can really take a beating. So it's just a matter of looking at your dish, how it looks like. When this is nice and golden and the tomatoes are nice and shriveled and cooked, then that's it. It's going to be ready to serve. The Tian is just out of the oven, and this is how you have to serve it when it's piping hot, because as you will see, the tomatoes, even though they are very thick, you look at this, it's like the pages of the book, that's what I like, and they render lots of juices at the bottom, and they can kind of get very soft very, very fast. So the advantage of cooking them upright like this is that the juice sits at the bottom and it makes a tomato jus you can use with your chicken, with your white meats, and even with fish. That's the perfect addition, and it's the perfect size to serve with all these kinds of meats and fishes. Now, if you want to go further, you can change by not having the tomatoes and do, for instance, aubergine or courgette, or mix the whole lot to do the Tian de légumes, the vegetable Tian, which is slices of tomatoes, aubergine and courgette with exactly the same type of seasoning. So you can vary the flavor, and one technique gives you 2 or 3 recipes. So my advice is to go ahead and try it as soon as you can.